Hello, and welcome to Zakitude News, your one source of all the news on the internet, because it's pretty much impossible to find the news online. Am I right? I'm right. If any of you have been watching the news lately, and I don't blame you if you haven't been because it is a terrifying place, you'll already know that this last week has been especially terrible. Our first story today is about Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump. Now, we all know that Trump has the brains of a stump. No offense to stumps out there. I'm not trying to compare you to Trump. Stumps actually serve a purpose. And the fact that he has a very good chance of getting the Republican nomination is absolutely terrifying. Even more so after learning this. Donald Trump believes that the best way to take out terrorists is to kill women and children. He wants to target the families of known terrorists and kill them. So Trump believes that the best way to kill terrorists is to become one. I feel like he doesn't fully understand the idea of thinking like your enemies. He just straight up wants to be them. During an interview with Fox News, he was asked how to minimize civilian casualties in the fight against ISIS. His response was this: well, you have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families. When they say they don't care about their lives, you take out their families. So his method of minimizing civilian casualties is to literally hunt down and kill civilians. Boaz Ganor, a leading Israeli counterterrorism expert, says that this not only crosses a moral line, but is actually going against international law. He also said that it would degrade the U.S.'s moral standing with the world, but we all know that ship sank a long time ago. He said this in a quote: "Any deliberate attacks aimed against civilians is a war crime, regardless if they are family members of terrorists or presidents or presidential candidates. Adopting this policy is immoral and against the common liberal democratic values. Deliberate attacks against the terrorist families is blurring the moral differences between the terrorist organizations and the state, which is fighting terrorism. This by itself might benefit the terrorists, which are trying to claim they are fighting a moral war against a relentless and immoral entity." This man, Trump, could become the next president of the United States. And if that doesn't absolutely terrify you, you should probably get that checked out. Go see a doctor about that, because something's not working right up here. Something's not wired quite right. The other big story we're going to talk about today is also about the States, because they are quickly becoming the single most terrifying place on Earth. This year, so far, just remember it's not the end of the year yet, there have been over 350 mass shootings. Now, if you want to do the math, that averages out to be about 1.05 mass shootings a day. Mass shootings are when there is at least 4 victims, which can include the shooter. That's literally insane to think about. To put some perspective on this, between the years 2000 and 2014, Canada had 3 mass shootings. Conservative Americans seem to think that if people have guns, then mass shootings wouldn't happen because some hero would be there to stand up and save the day. What they conveniently forget all the time is that people do have guns. That's why America has the problem of gun violence to begin with. It's this vicious circle, because whenever somebody gets shot, these gun fanatics, nuts, come out and say that more people need guns to stop this gun violence. Never mind that here in Canada, with our very strict gun laws, we have very little problem with gun violence. You can't just go and buy a gun here, because that makes sense. Why would you let anyone just go and buy a weapon? I understand the like for hunting. I enjoy hunting. But you don't use an assault rifle to shoot a deer. As you've probably heard, there was a mass shooting in San Bernardino, California on Wednesday. This vile act of domestic terrorism is tragic. And it was committed by 3 very legal American citizens, including a man and wife. News agencies in the States are already saying that they are Islamic and that they had ties with known terrorists. Because why would any normal American do such a thing unless they were Islamic? The husband and wife marched into the Inland Regional Center, which is a not-for-profit organization which helps people with developmental disabilities, and opened fire during a company Christmas party. 14 people were killed and 17 more were injured. CNN is already pinning the reason for the shooting on the husband's radicalization. But US President Barack Obama has said in a statement that there are probably other reasons for the shooting, including the fact that the husband worked for the center and was having a few work-related issues to begin with. But American media doesn't like that, so they're playing up the fact that he was Muslim, and that he had traveled to Mecca, which is something that Muslims are supposed to do at least once in their life. That's all. Mecca is also where he met his wife. The American media knows that the average, read the extremely vocal minority, doesn't want to believe that an American could do something like this unless it was because of that evil Islam. People would much rather remain ignorant and shout their racist beliefs instead of looking at the simple truth. People do bad things for a ton of reasons. Yes, religion can be one of those reasons, but more often than not, it's something else completely. America has this strange idea that if more people had guns, bad things wouldn't happen. They want to believe that people would choose to be the hero rather than the villain. But if this year has taught us anything at all, it's that if people are given a gun, they're going to choose to be the villain and not the hero. I honestly don't know how many more tragedies like this have to happen before America wakes up and realizes that they have this problem. But until that day happens, I am so glad that I live in Canada. I mean, I've talked to friends of mine who live in the States who talk about the fact that they feel scared to go out at night, to walk down a street by themselves, to go to a movie theater. They're scared of that. And that's something I can't really process, because I go out at night all the time. I go to movie theaters all the time, and I'm never scared. Because we don't have that problem here in Canada. We don't have to worry about some whack job pulling out an assault rifle during a movie and opening fire. Because you can't do that here. You can't just go out and get an assault rifle and walk into a movie theater. It's hard to comprehend. And I feel so bad for all my friends who live in the States and have to worry about this all the time, because it's 2015. We shouldn't be worrying about stuff like this anymore. We should be past this, but we're not. And that's so sad. Well, this has been Zakitude News. I was your host, Zach Iscock. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I post a weekly news video, daily vlog, and starting this weekend I will be doing a challenge video. So you've got that to look forward to. This is a handmade Doctor Who tie, in case you were all wondering why I was wearing something so colorful. It's the Exploding TARDIS painting by Vincent van Gogh. And I'll see you guys next week with more Zakitude News.